Well, hello. That music means it's just about time for us to get started, so bear with me. I'll be right back with you. Just got to close the door and get some water, those kinds of things. Be right with you, and we'll get started just about on time. Thanks. All right, who is excited to learn how to protect your business so you can win more clients and more customers and more business? Whoops, that's not supposed to happen. All right, well, give me a win in the comments in the chat if you like the sound of that. Win, win, win is what we're looking for. And I would like to ask you, can you make a small commitment to me right now? Will you promise that you will keep an open mind about everything you're going to hear from me today? Just give things a chance, pay attention to what resonates for you, and then promise yourself that you are going to take action on one thing that you learn or take away from today's session. Can I get a big fat yes in the chat? Hello, Deborah. Hello, Joseph. Nice to see you here. We've got a few other people joining on other platforms as well that I won't be able to see your name until you say something in the comments. So if you're watching and you'd like to let me know, do that. Let me know where you're calling from, what you do, and what would be a great big win for today. All right. Now we're going to just wait as this music wraps up here in another few seconds. And that will be my cue to get into the presentation. All right, so that means it's time to go and get ready, get set, and let's go. First off, congratulations to you for committing to be here today, because that tells me that you take your business seriously. Whether it's a side hustle or your main thing, whether you are just starting out and new to this whole world of digital online business, or maybe you've been at it for a while and you've now arrived at a season where you recognize the time is right to get things into more professional shape and protect yourself. Whether it's an online course, an information product, a membership, coaching, consulting practice, any of those things, I'm sure that you have invested a lot of yourself, your energy, your passion, your money, and your other resources, of course, in getting started. You've probably built a website, invested in online platforms and tools, email services, those kinds of things. And maybe you've hired designers and copywriters and other helpers, virtual assistants, things like that, to get things up and running. Well, whatever stage in the journey you may be at, the fact that you are here today tells me that you are all in and that you're looking to get the most out of your business by approaching it as professionally as possible. Not just the front end side of things, but a professional approach to the back office part of things as well. The stuff that most people don't see working behind the scenes, at least not if you're doing things right. So this workshop today is for you, whether you are an old pro or a newcomer, whether you're a solo operation or building a larger business. You are going to take tremendous value from what I'm sharing today, and even more if you actually implement, if you actually take action on the things that I am talking about. Now, this workshop is going to be a little different from many of the webinars and challenges and live launch sessions and other things like it that you might have experienced before, because I could easily come in here and talk for about an hour or so about the law, give you a somewhat boring lecture, and then a sales pitch for my product. But I think it's more helpful if I actually share some of the big mistakes that I'm seeing happening over and over and over again, along with the consequences of those things. And then I'll give you some tips on how you can avoid or overcome them and be really ready for anything, excuse me, especially growth and profit. How does that sound? Let me know in the chat. Give me a plus or a yes or a thanks, anything like that. Because what I share today is intended to be actionable stuff, things that you can put to work right away today. Whether or not you decide to take me up on the offer I'll make you at the end. And there will be an offer, but I'm sure you're going to find value in what I have to say, regardless whether you decide to get in on it or not. All right. So the goal for today is to help you develop your personalized custom plan, your roadmap to get your business and legal affairs in order so that you can take big, bold steps confidently to propel your business's growth and profit. Because getting your legal and business affairs in order is the most important step you can take toward achieving real, meaningful growth and profit in your business by protecting yourself. And I'll explain why that matters in a minute. Now, we only have a short time together today, so at the end, I would love to share some next steps towards that. And, for those who resonate with what I'm talking about today. So do me a favor, just shut off your various distractions, your other screens and things like that. And you may want to have a pen and fresh pad ready just to jot down some notes and questions. We'll get to questions at the end, time permitting, and I'm happy to help out. And okay, because you're here today, and if you stay till the end of the presentation, I'm going to make you a special offer that you'll want to stick around for. So stick with me. All right. My main ask, though, is that you promise yourself that you will be bold, that you will take action on the ideas that resonate with you today. So who here considers yourself to be an action taker? Give me the word action in the comment if you think you're an action, if you think of yourself as an action taker. You're all here, so that's an action right there. I'd say everybody's an action taker, but I'd love to hear from you. Joseph, action taker. Deborah, action taker. Steven over there. Yeah, they're okay. We've got people on multiple platforms, so forgive me if I get a little tied up in things. All right. Now, no matter where you are in your entrepreneurial journey, you probably have already overcome some real significant challenges. Just figuring out the essence of your business might be one. Who do you help? What problems are you going to solve for them? And of course, how do you solve them? And let's also not forget the technology. Am I right? But there are some other challenges that are just a bit harder to get your head around. I get it. And you might be dealing with one or more of these challenges. Maybe frustration with the slow growth you've been experiencing. And maybe you're concerned that you're wasting your time, energy, and money and just not having the kind of impact that you really desire. And maybe seeing little or no revenue is really starting to wear thin. Or maybe you're just worried about the liability and the risk side of things. If that's not front and center, you still know it's there, right? Unconsciously in the back of your mind, maybe waking you up in the middle of the night. Uh-oh, what happens if this, right? All of those things are very real and very significant challenges, and I'm here to help you overcome those today. This is about your opportunity to overcome these challenges by getting your business and legal affairs in order so you can play a bigger game, take bolder action with confidence, and remain aligned with your goals of growth and profit and impact and influence and all of those things. And I'm here to tell you that contrary to what you may believe, doing all this can actually be fast and easy and affordable. What I've learned from my time in the trenches and the experience of working with my clients in all kinds of businesses, mostly around entertainment and media and online business, for the past, 3 decades or so, is that having your business and legal affairs in order is the most effective way you will position yourself for tremendous growth and profit. So, are you ready to grow your business? Give me a grow in the chat right now. And I want to know from you, are you absolutely sure already, certain that you've got your business and legal affairs completely squared away? If that's you, raise your hand so we can see and acknowledge you. That's amazing. Congratulations. But if you're like most, that's not the case. Now, if you have, you are welcome to stick around, of course. But everybody else, what do you say I tell you the 5 legal and business mistakes that most entrepreneurs, most digital online business creators make? And I'll show you some fundamentals to get right instead so that you can achieve the kind of growth and profit that you want. Give me a yes or a ready in the chat. All right. Getting your business and legal affairs in order can be fast, easy, and effective if you take on what I'm sharing now and act on what resonates for you. And it's totally do-it-yourselfable. Is that even a word? If you If you've got the information and the know-how and the tools to get a few things handled, you can do this. So let's get you started with some of that information and know-how right now. Here are 5 mistakes that entrepreneurs make that expose them to risk and liability and that hold them back from the growth and profit they desire, and some fundamental things to do instead. Okay, first big mistake that most entrepreneurs make is thinking that they can avoid or wait to get things set up to operate in this professional manner. I get it. We all want to get right to the heart of our businesses, helping clients and customers, but that is a risky approach. It's a little like taking off in an airplane without running through that pre-flight checklist, fuel, control systems, making sure the landing gear works. I mean, nobody wants to get where they're going just fine, only to discover too late that they're in for a nasty belly landing or worse, a full-on crash. So getting protections in place really should be a priority. It should be right up there with figuring out who you're here to serve and what problems you're going to solve and how, and of course, how you're going to sell them that solution and how to price it and all of those kinds of things. Now, I am a lawyer, and as bruising as it may be to my ego, I have to face the fact people don't want to have to hire a lawyer. So when they actually do, it's because they have some problem to deal with, right? Now, raise your hand if you have a burning desire to hire a lawyer and spend $5,000 or $7,000 or maybe $10,000 on your legal fees, right? But that's the thing. Most of the folks I've worked with in my law practice have left things until it's much too late and missed this chance to protect themselves affordably. And as a result, they end up spending a lot on dealing with the problems after they occur. Now, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I would much rather arm people with information and tools and strategies before trouble can even start. And that's been my approach basically my whole career. So let me share an example of someone leaving things till it's too late. Now, this is a business owner. He started a podcast network, launched a show, brought on co-hosts. Everything is going great until a disagreement arose with his co-host about how they're going to monetize the show. So now they are butting heads. This is one of many shows on the network, but this is the flagship. And now they're butting heads over how to monetize. And this original guy, the entrepreneur who founded the network, decides that he'll be the bigger man and he's going to let his co-host have his way. Avoid conflict, right? What happens? Co-host decides to take this as his chance to try to completely take over the show. Imagine that, being forced out of a business that you launched, that you built, and you invited this friend to work with you, and now he's claiming it's his. And what's worse, he's not just going to take the show, he's going to leave the network and host the show somewhere else. Can you even imagine? This is actually a true story that I've seen happen 3 different times with 3 different companies, networks, in my business. Maybe podcasters are notoriously slow at this, but I think it's just business owners, founders, right? All right. If the business owner had just taken a few of the steps that I'm going to lay out for you today, it wouldn't have been able to happen. But instead, both of them got to hire lawyers, and then we all fought about things for the better part of a year. And meanwhile, the show isn't publishing. It's getting stagnant. The audience is fading away and losing interest. That's the customer base, right? Or where customers come from. And what had started as a disagreement about which approach to take to the monetization, well, now there's no monetization happening at all. So does that make you maybe want to just take a few relatively easy, inexpensive steps now to protect yourself and avoid these kinds of situations? Give me a heck yes if that fits for you. All right. So this actually illustrates 2 of the fundamental principles I want you to take away today. This podcaster made the mistake of waiting too long, and that was a double whammy mistake. If he'd gotten his business structure in order and assembled a team structure and got that in order and in writing early on, this problem could never have gotten to be what it became. But instead, they had a big fight. So working without any organized business structure, like an LLC or corporation, that's our second big mistake. Because when you're out there doing business, working with clients, providing services, information, products, goods, whatever, there's risk, there's liability potential. And when you're working together with other people, you are liable together for everything that any of you does or causes in the business. Taking on partners is great for backstopping your efforts and making things possible, but it also carries some risk and liability. So our second fundamental to get right is to create and formalize a business structure. Think of this as laying the foundation for your growth and success. The structure becomes the foundation and everything else is built on top of it. It's like a container for the business to hold all the stuff, including the risk. So, fundamental number 1, don't wait. Fundamental number 2, get your business structure in order. Form an LLC or a corporation to house everything in your business and shield you and your personal assets from those risks. A partnership won't do it. A sole proprietorship won't do it. LLC or corporation is the best way to go for this. Now, mistake number 3 is failing to have your team structure documented. Team structure is essential. Now, did you know that when you hire an independent contractor like a virtual assistant or a web designer or videographer, copywriter to create something for you, that artwork, that ad copy, designing a website, building out a course, that person could actually wind up being considered the owner of the thing. Even though you hired them, you paid them, they were doing it for you, or so you thought. But because of a weird wrinkle in intellectual property law, copyright law specifically, this is what happens. Unless you've got a very specifically worded contract clause that is intended and designed to prevent this from happening. And another thing is when you team up with someone else to create something, so you're working on it with someone else, unless there's a clear indication of a different intention, you and they will be considered joint authors. And since authorship equals ownership, that means joint ownership, co-owners. Now, that may very well be what you want and intend, but maybe it isn't. So please, please, please be very mindful about this and beware of language and words like partner, co-founder, really co-anything, because those words can come back to haunt you. That podcast co-host with the network where the guy tried to take over the show, well, that takeover guy, he claimed ownership, authorship of all the episodes that he had done, at least joint authorship. He also claimed that he'd been a partner in the venture and therefore had a right to dissolve it and force the other to sell or buy out an interest in it. And because they didn't have a clear documentation of the intentions of the parties at the outset, it became a problem. It became a tens of thousands of dollars, many tens of thousands of dollars profit problem. And it all would have been a non-issue if there had been a simple joint venture or co-production or co-hosting agreement of some sort put in place. Think of that like a business prenup, and that's what they needed. Some kind of a documentation at the beginning of the working relationship to clarify the roles and the responsibilities and the rights of the parties if things didn't exactly go as expected or somebody needed to leave or be shown the door or whatever. Instead, they got a mean, nasty, expensive fight, the business equivalent of a contentious divorce. Headaches, expenses, time, energy, money lost. A shame, really. Makes you think about just remaining a lone wolf and doing everything for yourself, right? But the thing is, having a team is actually really key to growing your business and becoming profitable. You simply can't do everything all for yourself all of the time. So that's fundamental number 3. Build a team and get that structure in order and in writing. Every person who comes in contact with your business and your work product in any way should have a signed contract. It doesn't have to be a complicated one. It could sometimes just be a letter. Dear so-and-so, we've agreed on these 5 things and we're going to start tomorrow. Whatever. It's not hard to do if you have the information and the resources. The tools and the templates that you need, if you've got those, and you can handle this quickly, easily, and without expensive lawyers. So, a couple quick questions for you. Answer in the chat. Have I got you thinking? Does this resonate for you? And are you making any of these kinds of mistakes? Do you see the need to get your business and team structures in order? And let me ask you one more. Assuming you had the information, the know-how, the tools, the templates, all right at your fingertips, are you ready to commit to taking some action on these things? None of them takes a lot of time. None of them costs a lot of money. Would you do that? Get it going? Take action? I know I would. All right. And if you're not ready, I'd love to know, just type ready if you are, but if not, I'd love to know why. What's holding you back? And really it helps me help you. So that's useful. Okay. Now, the next big mistake that lots of otherwise very smart folks make is that they fail to protect the stuff that they create, their intellectual property. So they get ripped off, taken advantage of, or even squeezed out of their own projects. your intellectual property is probably the most valuable asset in your inventory. So what does this term even mean, intellectual property? Well, it's sort of an umbrella term. It covers the various kinds of intangible things, the so-called products of the mind, patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets a little bit as well. So patents really aren't going to be applicable to most of the kinds of businesses we're talking about today. But briefly, patent law protects inventions, processes, and systems that are unique and non-obvious. And the inventor of that invention, system, process gets exclusive rights to their technology for 20 years or so. And that's really valuable. Now, copyright, I mentioned briefly before in the context of the team structure where ownership could accidentally wind up shared or in the wrong hands altogether if you're not careful, because with copyright, ownership comes from authorship. Well, copyright is essentially a bundle of rights. The author of a copyrighted work, like a book, a film, a sculpture, a song, a lesson plan, a course video, script, workbook, what have you, owns the exclusive right to copy, distribute, perform, display, and make derivative works based on or incorporating the work. So they control those things, and that means that they can make money from it. So there are two sides to this. On the one hand, when you create these things, they are yours, and you have those exclusive rights of control. The good news is that protection exists from the very moment you create the thing. But there are a few steps that you can take to really lock in that protection and give yourself better recourse and remedies if there's a problem. So let me ask you this. If you knew that you could get your attorney's fees paid by the infringer just by filing one easy online form at the right time, wouldn't that be worth it? Now, that's the kind of easy, effective, cost-effective step I'm really talking about, part of your intellectual property protection strategy. Now, I said there were two sides to this equation. The other side is that when you use material that's created by other people or companies, things like images, videos, music, passages from books or articles, those kinds of things, no matter where you find them, unless they're very old, like 95 or 100 years old or more, then there's an owner out there who still has those exclusive rights. And so you need permission. There are very few narrow scenarios, but generally speaking, you need permission, and it's often just more cost-effective to get that permission than to rely on these exceptions that I mentioned. So licensing the material you use is the other side of the coin. That entails identifying, locating, and asking, negotiating with the copyright owner, and getting the permission in writing. Again, it doesn't have to be hard or complicated, but it can take some doing just to track down the right people and structure a proposal and ask for the right things that you need and so on. And all of that is stuff that I can teach you. Now, next up, we have trademarks. A trademark is a distinctive word, symbol, phrase, or other identifier, a mark, that is affixed to goods or services and indicates their source or distinguishes those goods or services from others out in the marketplace. Like, say you're a cattle rancher, right? You grab a hot metal rod with your ranch's symbol on one end, and you sear that symbol into the hide of the cows that you raise, so everyone will know whose they are. Anybody know what that process is called? Anybody remember? That's branding. That is trademark at work. So you get a trademark by adopting a distinctive mark, like the cattle brand, and using it in commerce, like putting it on the cows or on whatever products or services you sell. And then when others come along with marks that are too similar, that are confusingly similar, there's a likelihood of confusion as to source or origin. That's what we call trademark infringement. So the best protection you can get will come from registering your trademark. Now, this is a bit more complex than the copyright simple form thing that I mentioned a minute ago, but you can do it yourself if you know what you're doing, or if you have guidance like what I provide inside my Easy Legal programs that I'll be telling you about in a few more minutes. Now imagine this, and this is another one of those waited too long situations. Another podcaster in this scenario, he came to me. He'd started podcasting in the very early days of podcasts. He is one of the OGs in the field, and he has a really good title for his show with a great sort of buzzword in the title. It really captures a sort of triple meaning almost. It's very distinctive. But after 13 years or so, along comes not one, but two new podcasts, both of them adopting titles for their shows that have that same buzzword in them. Slightly different wording surrounding it, but that keyword exactly the same. So he comes to me and asks me to register his title as a trademark and help him protect his brand. Trouble is, these newcomers have already filed their trademark, at least one of them had. They hadn't actually even launched their show. They applied on the basis of an intent to use this similar title. And my guy has waited. So we reach out to these others and we tell them he's got common law rights and warn them if they proceed with their application, we will oppose it. But they're not interested in hearing it. Now, this client was also dealing with some other stuff, family stuff, because life happens. So he wasn't really able to focus on things as fast as he'd like to. And before he could attend to the situation, their application was approved, pending them supplying proof that they'd actually launched the show. It was almost 3 or almost 4 years of extensions and delays, and they still hadn't launched the show. Meanwhile, during all that time, our registration of his title is now blocked because it is confusingly similar to this now existing pending registration. So we've got a couple of other aces up our sleeve, but in order to do anything about canceling that application, that registration, we have to wait until they actually do launch the show, because merely blocking the registration is not an infringement of any kind of rights. But once they launch and their registration is issued, then we could sue to cancel the registration. But lawsuits are no fun. They're expensive, they're time-consuming, and they give everybody headaches, even for the lawyers. And it all could have been easily prevented if my client had just taken a few simple steps to protect his brand early on. Now, in this case, it worked out okay. After 4 years, the other guys never launched their show, and they ran out of extension opportunities. And so eventually their application was deemed abandoned, and my clients sailed right through. But I wish this was an isolated incident. Just in the last few weeks, I've had 3 more business owners come to tell me that competitors have launched with very similar names to theirs, which means that we have to rush to register and probably fight the interlopers without the strength of having that fully registered trademark at the time the infringement occurred. We still have rights under common law and law of unfair competition, but a trademark registration, that's the big gun, and it kind of makes it just easy to get those other infringers to stop. In fact, just this week, I ended up settling a case with an infringer of a brand that was put on T-shirts without the owner of the brand's permission. They printed many tens of thousands of units of these shirts and sold them around the country without ever asking for permission from the owner of the trademark for the phrase that was on the shirt. So we ended up showing them, oh, we have a trademark. They apologized. They said, well, let's work out a royalty. And, we ended up negotiating a deal. And honestly, there's another lesson here, is that deal ended up costing that other company much more, plus attorney's fees, than it would have if they'd just come to us and asked for permission in the first place. Could have made a much more favorable deal for everybody. So that's the value and the power of owning a trademark. So fundamental number 4, you have to have a strategy to protect your intellectual property. As I said, it's the most valuable asset in your inventory, in all likelihood. And it's just as important that you arm yourself with the know-how to avoid problem when you're using intellectual property that belongs to others. Knowing the basic whys and whats and how-tos, of course, will save you so much time, trouble, and grief. You sort of have to do this. And getting your copyrights and trademarks registered is really essential. And our program shows you exactly how to do that for yourself, so you don't have to hire lawyers and spend thousands of dollars to do it for you unless you want to. Now, next up, we have one of the biggest mistakes I see online business owners making, and that is simply adopting a plain vanilla set of web documents provided by the hosting service or the platform. Those services and platforms, they have their own interests in mind, not yours. Or worse is just copying from another similar business, and that could also be deemed copyright infringement, because believe it or not, those privacy policies and terms of use documents can be copyrighted. And even worse than that is not using any of these documents at all. That'll really get you into some hot water. So the thing is here, the devil really is in the details. Businesses get burned when their documents don't actually jibe with their actual policies and procedures, right? It has to be consistent. So it needs to be tailored to the way you operate, the way you do business. So fundamental number 5 deals with your website agreements, policies, and procedures. These online documents are your front line of defense against all kinds of trouble in modern business. They establish the boundaries, the scope, and the breadth of your relationship with website visitors, customers, content sources, and more. And there are state and federal and international rules and regulations that govern how we operate in the digital world. And these laws are changing, sometimes pretty rapidly. For example, just last year, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission issued a new regulation called Click to Cancel. It said you have to make it as easy to cancel, unsubscribe, or terminate a deal as it was for the client or customer to sign up in the first place. If you've got a web presence, you've got to have these things taken care of, and they need to be customized for your specific business. Now, here's one of my all-time favorite quotes, because it's funny as well as true. Yes, oral contracts can be enforceable, but things are so much easier when they're clearly written so there are no misunderstandings or confusion. So that brings us to mistake number 6. I know I said there were 5, but the first 2 were kind of combined, and I wanted to get this one in there. Mistake number 6 is not using written contracts. Nearly every business dispute comes down to the deal, and the parties either not following the terms of the agreement or disagreeing about what those terms were. If there's ever a dispute, having an actual document to refer to can make all the difference. And frankly, just like good fences make good neighbors, good contracts make good business relationships. Now, I'm not saying hire a lawyer every time you go into a new deal. You can totally write your own contracts, set up your templates, and use them to do most of your business. But if you're going to DIY your deals, at least make sure that you're drilling down using precise, unambiguous language, or better, working from tried and true documents where the issues have already been thought through by professionals. And honestly, with the kinds of resources out there, there's no need to be shooting in the dark. There are really good templates that have handled most of the tricky language. So you just have to insert the basic deliverables, specifics, numbers, dates, times, that kind of thing. And where there isn't a template, knowledge is power. You can write your own rock-solid contracts if you know how to anticipate and think about these kinds of concerns. So that's fundamental number 6. Build out your contract process before you need it. So you've got what you need at hand when the opportunities come knocking, because they won't wait around if you're not ready. Solid, enforceable written contracts with your clients and your customers, your vendors, team members, pretty much everybody you come into contact with will give both you and them confidence in the nature of the relationship. So you can go forward with shared understandings and expectations of what's ahead. That is how you grow and become profitable. So honestly, just knowing what the key deal terms are or should be and what your walkaway position is, the point where you recognize the deal isn't worth it to you, that's tremendously valuable. So please don't leave this to chance. Having a deliberate approach ensures that you don't fall into the trap on the other side of this that befell one business owner last year, where he exchanged a thumbs up emoji with a business counterparty, and the court ultimately ended up holding that form to binding contract. So here's another question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well developed is your contracting strategy? How ready are you to make your deals and paper them using precise, unambiguous contracts and how get paid? If you answered anything less than an 8 in your head, because I see everybody stopped answering in the chat, if you answered something less than an 8, I want you to commit right now to learning more about this and improving your readiness, getting your templates and things in place so you're ready when those opportunities come knocking. So let me recap just a bit. We've talked today about the mistakes that you don't want to make and the fundamentals to get handled that will ensure that your business is well protected. First off, don't wait any longer. Every passing day involves risks that can be solved with a few simple steps. Establishing a business entity to house and protect your business and assets. Establishing clear, unambiguous team structures so everyone knows what's expected of them and what they should expect in return. Taking care to protect your intellectual property, probably your most valuable assets, and having a process for licensing rights for other people's IP if you're going to use that in your business. Having properly customized website terms of service, privacy policies, disclaimers, terms of sale so you don't run afoul of the complicated web of state, federal, and international rules and regulations, and so that your customers will have clearly defined expectations. And then rock solid contracts so you have the predictability and stability in your business relationships and cash flow. You see, the folks that don't have these structures and strategies in place, even if it's not top of mind all the time, their unconscious minds know it. And part of that subconscious, the lizard brain part of us, has a mission of protecting us. So, without total confidence that you've done all you can to protect yourself or your business, these folks play it safe. They don't take risks. This is all unconscious. They stay sort of timid, censor themselves, silence a part of their voices. They're playing the game, sure, but a lot of them may not be playing to win. And instead, and I've done this myself in my life, so I know it's true, what they're doing is playing the game to not lose. Isn't that sad? Yeah, they're safe, sure. But the pros, those who really crush it in business and who make the most out of every opportunity, the folks who achieve their goals, create that impact, touch large audiences with messages, reach lots of customers, make lots of sales, serve more, do more, they take bold action. And they know that they can. They know that they should because they know in their bones, in their unconscious and their conscious minds, they know that they've been smart about structuring things, about getting the fundamental protections in place so their risks are minimized. Big, bold action is what gets you where you want to go. It gets you what you want, lets you achieve great things. Having protections in place makes it a lot more comfortable to take those big, bold actions. So I ask you, are you that bold action taker? Type bold in the comments. Can you see how taking this professional approach I've been talking about, getting your legal and business affairs in order, is really the most important step toward achieving the kind of impact, growth, and success that you're working toward? Because it frees you up to do your best work, to take those bold actions, smart, calculated, strategic risks confidently, without worry, because you know you're well-informed, well-structured, and well-protected. And the image that you project to the world, that matters. Professionalism shines like a beacon, calling clients and customers from the darkness to find you. So here's one more question for you. How many really successful folks do you know that don't treat things like a business? How many amateurs and hobbyists do you give your money to regularly? That's right. Hobbyists and dabblers make stuff, yes, and they help folks sometimes, and they may have some fans, but the professionals, real solid business owners, they have customers and clients. They have businesses, and yes, professionals make money. Even if what you're doing is only a side hustle or a hobby, money coming in makes it easier and more fun. Am I right? Well, I can say after practicing law for 33-something years, I can tell you with absolute certainty, people prefer to do business with established, stable, professional businesses. Clients and customers don't want to deal with amateurs and hobbyists. And they won't sign up for your course, your membership, your coaching program, or what have you, if you don't project both competence and confidence. The kind of confidence that comes naturally when you have your business and legal affairs in order. So earlier, I referred to some of the challenges you might be facing. Frustration with the slow growth you've been experiencing, concern that you're wasting your time, energy, and money and not having much impact, maybe seeing little or no revenue is bugging you. Maybe you're just worried about the liabilities and the risks. Maybe it's something else. And if actually that is the case and you'd like to share, drop it in the chat. What worries do you have about your business and what can we do about that? And while you do that, I want to just get us started on a quick, powerful exercise. So bear with me now. This is going to take we're going to have to do a little time travel. All right. So close your eyes, if you're not driving. Close your eyes and breathe a few cleansing, relaxing breaths. Now forget about all the stuff that's bouncing around in your head right now. Clear your thoughts. Now imagine that it is 3 days from now. So today's Wednesday. So imagine it's Saturday, right? And you're putting into action what you've learned here today. And you've already gotten some of the protections for your business in the works. And you're already feeling smart and powerful and confident, bold. Really get in touch with how that feels and just sit with it for a second. Okay, now now we're going to leap forward in time a bit more. Now it's 3 months ahead from now. You're reaching that larger audience. Your message is getting out. It's getting through to people. You're making more sales, getting results for your clients and customers, and you're feeling excited more than ever about your business. How does that feel? Let it get through you. It puffs up your chest a little, doesn't it? Very satisfying sensation. Let that smile come to your face as you imagine and enjoy your influence and impact and income for a moment. All right. Continuing our time travel journey, we're going to leap forward again to a year from now. So it's October of 2026, and you're crushing it. You're in the zone. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Everything is dialed in, and things are just clicking, and everything feels easy. Am I right? You check your email, you're looking at that notification, you just made a bunch of new sales, signed some new clients, whatever. And just like everything else is in flow right now, so is the money. The bank accounts are growing, finances in awesome shape, always trending even better. Maybe you're even planning a dream vacation, enjoying more time with the people that you love, all because your business is jamming. Now, you're feeling pretty awesome right there, right? That feeling of security and stability. Okay. Now keep your eyes closed for just another couple moments, another deep breath. Ask yourself, what type of person is the you that you see in that future of yours? How are they showing up? How are they making decisions? My question for you is this: are you committed to being and acting as that person? I'm not talking about a year from now. I'm saying today, now, from this moment forward. Are you ready to be that pro? If you're committed to being the person in that mental image of yours, the only thing stopping you now is how to get there. And the good news is you don't have to leave it to guesswork anymore. I want to show you the way. I'm going to show with you and share with you how you can get your business and legal affairs in order so you can be bold. You can achieve those goals more easily and faster than you ever thought possible. Now, I'm going to open up for questions in just a few more minutes. But before I do, I just want to tell you about something that I've created that'll make doing all of the things I've recommended here today super easy for you. I've been helping bold, ambitious business people like you get their legal affairs in order for my whole career. Now, a few years ago, I realized that there's this legal stuff that needs doing, but that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the bootstrap phase, they just don't have the resources or the know-how to get these things done. So I tailored part of my practice to helping those folks with packages and pricing designed to make things a bit more accessible. But then I realized that there's still a group I just hadn't yet reached, the do-it-yourself crowd, the folks who aren't able or aren't inclined to hire a lawyer to get their legal affairs in order, but who still want to get them in order. And if you are like them, you know the big challenge is, where do I start? How do I do it? Not knowing how can be a paralyzing factor. Now, before I share this, I just need to be upfront. What I'm about to share is not for everyone. It is not for you if you are comfortable with your current situation and you're happy for your business to continue being more like a hobby, something that you dabble at but don't really view as a priority. And it's not for you if you're not willing to roll up your sleeves, create some documents, file things with the government, and work out deals with your team. If you would rather have someone do that stuff for you, I am good with that. You can reach out to me privately and we will get started. It will be my delight to help you. And it is not for you if you are not prepared to invest some money, along with some time and effort now, to avoid big problems and avoid having to spend a lot of money later on. This is for you if you take your business seriously and you view it as something important to you and want to be as professional about things as you can be. This is for you if you're willing to learn and do the things that will position you to take those bold actions that'll propel your growth and profit. And it is absolutely for you if you are committed to your next level and the one after that and so on, because you're determined to make your impact and you're prepared to do whatever it takes to achieve it. But as I said, lots of folks recognize the need to get the business and legal affairs in order. They want to do it, but they can't or don't want to hire lawyers and just don't quite know what to do or how to do it. So I started wondering, what if getting your business and legal affairs in order was fast and easy and affordable? What if getting it all done was something you could do easily for yourself and still feel confident that it's been done correctly? And what if there was a set of frameworks, instructions, templates, and tools that would make getting the legal stuff done downright simple? And I came up with something. So I'd like to take a couple of minutes and I will tell you all about it. It's called Easy Legal for Entrepreneurs. It's a unique online legal and business affairs resource designed specifically for online course creators, membership owners, coaching business owners, digital entrepreneurs like you and me. When you sign up for Easy Legal for Entrepreneurs, you get a complete program. It's all built around our comprehensive growing library of forms, templates, example documents, and all the instructions you need to use them properly. This is just a sampling of the model documents, templates, and forms that you'll find in the library. And it's a growing, evolving thing. I used to say that this is a product in beta, right? We're still building it out. But the reality of it is, with the legal and business landscape changing rapidly all the time and new needs and situations cropping up, it's just the nature of things that we're going to be updating and adding more and more as time goes on. And you'll have access to everything. Now, sold separately, these templates alone have a total value of about $3,700. But this isn't just buying a bunch of forms and templates. You could do that, but then what? How would you know what to do first and second and third and so on? So when you sign up, there's a lot more. You're getting a program. You're going to receive our step-by-step foundation building guide. This is the blueprint for your success, a roadmap to the steps you'll take to get the basics in place and your business positioned for stability, profit, and growth. I'm going to let you in on a little big secret of how lawyers operate. You see, lawyers don't come out of law school knowing how to do all this stuff. We come out knowing how to think a little differently, how to analyze what needs to be done and what arguments to make, and with the foundational knowledge of the principles of the law. We know how to read and study cases and research things and so on. But when it comes right down to handling transactional stuff like setting up business entities, protecting intellectual property, and so on, we use what are called practice manuals. These are these big multi-volume loose leaf sets, books loaded with guidance on how to do the tasks, with annotations and citations to all the statutes and the case law behind each step in the checklist. And you just follow those steps, refer to the model documents, and you get it done. And these practice manuals, they cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and there's upkeep every year and so on. Now, that's great if you're a lawyer or you really want to get into the weeds and learn how to address the rare and extraordinary cases where the basic approach just won't do for some reason. But for the average small entrepreneurial business, even the mid-sized entrepreneurial businesses, you're not going to need all that, at least not yet. So, with our guide, we eliminate most of the esoteric decision tree branches, and we give you the straight shot to the end zone. This guidance alone is worth the entire price of the program. This guide is what makes it possible for you to do all of this in-house, either by yourself or by assigning it to somebody on your team. And that saves you hassles, headaches, and lawyers' fees. I'd say that this guide alone is worth at least $1,000. Now, several times that, if you consider those lawyers' practice guides that I mentioned. So with these two components, the Easy Legal for Entrepreneurs template library and the step-by-step foundation building guide, you're getting nearly $5,000 worth of value right there, about what you'd expect to plunk down as a lawyer's retainer, just to get started on some of this stuff. But when you invest now, you're also going to get access to a complete business law video course that I've created. Now, when I first created this a few years ago, I called it the Digital Entrepreneur's Business and Legal Toolkit. And it stood alone, and by itself, it was a steal when we priced it at $997. And that entire video course is now included as part of this much larger program with all the templates and the guides. This is like a college-level course in business law, tailored specifically to the kinds of business most of us are in. Online digital entrepreneurship, courses, memberships, coaching, and so on. But unlike those college-level courses, there are no long, boring lectures here. Each module is broken up into bite-sized chunks, brief video lessons that cover one single subject each, explained in plain English, so you can actually understand the principles underlying the tools that you're using in your business. It is a great self-study course. You could consume it in sequence from start to finish, but it also makes a great reference. So if you just have a question about a particular subject, you just find the appropriate video and you are all set. So I'll quickly run down what the modules cover. First of all, there's the usual sort of introductory module where we welcome you to the program, tell you what to expect, how to use the material, and of course, I'm a lawyer, so there's a disclaimer. And then in Module 1, we dive deep into the structural aspects of setting up your business. We walk you through the various kinds of business structures, and we help you determine which is the best for your particular situation, where to build it, how to create it, and so on. In Module number 2, we talk all about contracts. You get a sort of Contracts 101 overview of the law and an explanation of how you can do it yourself with your own contracts for many of the situations that might arise. Plus, you get samples and templates for many of the most common contracts that are used by online businesses. Module 3 is a deep dive into intellectual property law, where we explore the various types, of course, and show you how to go about securing your IP with contracts, registrations, enforcement protocols, and more templates and example documents. And Module 4 explores the issues that come up when you have people working for you. Labor and employment law and the best practices for hiring, managing, working with, and even terminating employees, independent contractors, virtual assistants, outside vendors. And of course, we will touch on taxes, insurance benefits, and other obligations that employers may have as well. And a nitty-gritty of working with independent contractors. Then in Module 5, we cover the online business specifics. You know, the regulatory alphabet soup about COPPA, CDA, GDPR, CAN-SPAM, FTC, SEC, and all the rest. And we take a deep dive into your website's privacy policies, terms of service, user agreements, disclaimers, and much, much more. And yes, that resource library has all those examples and templates. So when this course was first created, like I said, it was called Digital Entrepreneurs Business and Legal Toolkit, and it stood alone. It was up steel, priced at $997. So now you get the library of templates, forms, samples, and instructions, the step-by-step foundation building guide, and the complete business law video course. That bundle right there could cost around $5,700. Now, as I've said before, you could hire a lawyer or a law firm to take care of all this basic foundational stuff. And most qualified lawyers who do this kind of work are going to charge you somewhere between, $500 and $700 or $800 an hour. And to do all of the foundational tasks that we've talked about today, entity formation, trademarks, copyrights, website terms, privacy policies, disclaimers, those contracts and license agreements, that's going to be between $6,000 and $10,000 in legal fees. But when you invest in this program, you could save all or most of that expense. Think about it. So you get the templates, the forms, the samples, the instructions, the step-by-step foundation building guide, and the complete business law video course, plus big savings, $5,000 to $10,000 in legal fees that you won't have to pay to a lawyer. Now I know some of you are thinking, but I want to make sure it's done right, so I want to have a lawyer do it for me, and that's fine. But let me ask you this. How will you know if your lawyer really did do things right? Something you might not have thought about, but at most law firms, this kind of work gets assigned to the most junior person who is capable of looking in those practice guides, filling out some forms, and sending them off to the appropriate government agencies. But how are you going to know if that student law clerk or wet behind the ears associate or paralegal actually knew what they were doing, how to do it, and actually paid attention to the specific details that are unique to your situation? So even if you do hire a law firm to handle things for you, investing in Easy Legal for Entrepreneurs will give you the knowledge and information that you need to verify that it's being done right, the backup that you can cross-check their work against. But I'm guessing once you see what's here, you won't be that quick to want to throw your hard-earned money at that law firm. And if you still want it done for you, what about having someone from your team study these materials and handle it? Or hire a freelance paralegal to do the same thing and then just check their work and supervise. Now, let me ask you this question. How many of you here are creating online content to market your business? I'm talking about things like blogs, YouTube videos, live streams, and my favorite, podcasting. How many? Well, if that's not you, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you probably should. I haven't seen an entrepreneur recently who isn't doing some form of information-based marketing. And I'm here to tell you, as someone who's focused 30 years of lawyering on entertainment and media law, it's a whole big thing, and there's lots of inside baseball. Like in any other industry, there are rules and practices that need to be followed when you make media. So I'm adding one more nice little bonus. When you invest in Easy Legal for Entrepreneurs, I also provide you a copy of my ebook, The Podcast Blog and New Media Producer's Legal Survival Guide. In it, you'll find a wealth of knowledge about media production and all the legal frameworks that apply in that arena. It's an ebook that I've been selling for years, and it's yours to download for free when you buy Easy Legal for Entrepreneurs. One more bonus: membership in our exclusive private entrepreneur community mastermind. Now, you will have easy, direct access, and you'll be able to find community support, encouragement, and answers from your fellow members and from me, because I or someone on my team is checking in there frequently. So you'll have access to us in almost real time. Now, I know at least one person is thinking, ugh, another Facebook group. I mean, we've all been part of those groups where nothing's happening, just crickets. And then there's some that are so robust and active, it's almost like drinking from a fire hose. Well, first of all, this is not on Facebook. It's a dedicated group of our private course and content portal. But also, I'll just say, these kinds of groups really are a situation where you get from them in proportion to what you give. So it's up to you whether you want to participate. But for those who do, you will see the value of this particular benefit. So you get the templates, forms, samples, and instructions, the step-by-step foundation building guide, and the complete business law video course, and $5,000 to $10,000 in legal fees you won't have to pay a lawyer, plus the ebook and the community mastermind. All told, that's a value well over $10,000. Now, obviously, I'm not going to charge you $10,697, but if I did charge you that, and all this program did was give you a simple, straightforward blueprint and all the tools you need to create solid foundations for your business so that it'll thrive and remain profitable for years to come, wouldn't that be worth it? If all it did was give you the security and confidence that things were set up correctly so you could relax, focus on growing instead of worrying, and sleep well at night, wouldn't that be worth it? If all it did was save you from having to call your lawyer all the time and rack up charges at $600 or $700 an hour, wouldn't that be worth it? Well, you've already seen Easy Legal for Entrepreneurs is worth more than $10,000. And even at that full price, it would be a great deal. But because you're here today, which means you take your business seriously, and because I want to help as many business people like you as I can, especially now with everything that's going on in the world, I'm going to give you a very, very special offer. Now, I normally sell this product for $1,997. But when you go to dolegalyourself.com right now and purchase Easy Legal for Entrepreneurs today, you get everything I've shown you. The template library, the step-by-step foundation building guide, the complete video business law course, the podcast blog and new media producers legal survival guide, and the private community mastermind, all for just $997. It bears repeating. Getting your legal and business affairs in order is the most important step toward achieving true entrepreneurial growth and profit. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, I'm just starting out, or I'm too small for anyone to notice or challenge me. And besides, I won't get caught. Nobody ever does. So there's no urgency, no real immediate risk. Now, you might be right, but odds are you won't get caught until you do. And if that were really true, there wouldn't be nearly as many lawyers like me out in the world, would there? Odds are you won't get noticed or challenged till you are. Odds are while you're small, the risks are small. But do you plan to stay so small that nobody notices you? That's what'll have to happen if you're not building that solid foundation. So let's face it, things do happen no matter how careful you are, right? Who's ever had a car accident? Thank God you had insurance. Who's ever gotten sick? Maybe you needed to go to the hospital. Thank goodness you had health coverage, right? Who's ever had a fire, a flood, an earthquake, some kind of random something that causes damage to their home? Without insurance, what would have happened? Now, yes, you can get business insurance, and by all means, you should. Please do get insurance. But if you're not set up with these foundations I've been talking about, that insurance is going to cost. And if you want the insurance that covers all of these foundational things, it's going to cost a lot. And heaven forbid you have a claim, you'd best be able to help your defense team with the right documents and proof of things. Unless you're going to just stay small, play small, and completely avoid risk, you really have to get these foundations in place. Or maybe you're thinking lawyers are just too expensive. You can't afford to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on stuff that doesn't drive revenue. And you'd be right if it was actually true that you always need someone outside your business to do it for you. But that's not true. Sure, you could hire a lawyer to do this for you and get ready to hand over that retainer, $6, $8, even $10,000 to get all this stuff done for you. Or you could use one of those online services. You know the kinds, the ones with words like Rocket and Fast and Zoom in their names. Well, here's a big secret. At most law firms, this stuff gets handed off to those most junior, lowest paid, wet behind the ears associates or paralegals. And sometimes even a legal secretary doing a lot of the work on this kind of stuff. And those online services, well, it's you who's actually doing the work. They prompt you to fill in a form after some clicking and whirring, which is really mostly just for show. The computer system spits out a template document that you filled in, and you pay them for that. It's rare that any human eyeballs ever see your documents. And if they do, it's someone like that paralegal or secretary, not someone with formal legal training, maybe not even a high school diploma. So I ask you, if your business isn't really unusual, a really complicated thing, like a conglomerate with lots of divisions and subsidiaries and holding companies and so on, why do you need that big law firm to do what you could do in-house at a fraction of that cost? If you or someone on your team could fill out forms and you had the right forms and instructions there at your disposal, why would you pay an online form filling service to do it for you? Or maybe you're thinking, it's too complicated. I can't do it. I don't know how. I'm not smart enough. I don't have time. I don't have a clear path. Well, sure, doing anything for the first time is hard if you don't have the right tools. But when you have a clear roadmap that shows you exactly what to do and when to do it and how to do it, it becomes easy, or at least straightforward. When you have examples to follow, so you're not reinventing the wheel, it gets easier. When you have templates to work from, you save tons of time. And when you have clear instructions on how to do each task along the way, well, it's actually not that hard to get it done right. If you're going to build a lasting, stable, profitable business, you've got to have this solid foundation that I've been talking about. And when you have all the information, knowledge, tools, and templates at your disposal, you can easily build the foundation for a lasting, stable, and profitable business without spending a fortune on legal fees. Now, I am running out of time because I have a hard out in just about a minute or two. So I just want to cut to the chase here. You have choices. You can do nothing, stay where you are without protection. You could hire a lawyer to get everything done for your business and plunk down $5,000 or $10,000, or you could get your investment into Easy Legal for Entrepreneurs today and get everything that I've offered you here. And we're offering a free a money-back guarantee, a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not satisfied within that first month for any reason, you let me know why, and I will be glad to refund your money. That way, the risk is entirely on us. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by getting your legal house in order, so you can rest easy and confident in the knowledge that your business, your assets, and your income are all safe, secure, and ready for anything. And you can project that kind of confidence and professionalism to the world that will draw in customers and clients. So head on over to dolegalyourself.com. The link is in the chat. And I'll be glad to have you join the team. So now what do I need to do here? There, I found my button. Okay, good. All right. So real quick, unfortunately, I don't have time for questions. But if you have any, you can reach out to me by email, and I'll be delighted to respond and give you an answer. So if you have questions, okay. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for your kind words. Deborah, nice to see you here. Mysterious someone is here as well. Mysterious Teapup 2. Okay. And that's that. All right. So when you click the link on the chat, the link in the chat, dolegalyourself.com right now, you get everything you need to do it for yourself. Get your business and legal affairs in order, protect your business, and give your business and yourself the room to really grow and profit. And that's going to be it. Thanks for being with me today. I really do have to run. Forgot that I had this other appointment scheduled at the same time or at the overlapping time. So thanks for being with me. I will be in touch again soon. dolegalyourself.com. And that's it. Have a great day.